Is Ollie actually the prototype? You see, throughout chapter 3 of Poppy Playtime, we meet a new character named Ollie. We don't know anything about them, what they look like, or even their origins, and above all, they might even be the prototype. And I have a few ideas to support it. So hey everybody, I'm Jeeps, and today we learn the truth behind who Ollie really is. Consider subscribing for more, and let's get started. So starting off, who actually is Ollie? Well, Ollie is a character we meet in the beginning of chapter 3 from a phone call we receive, allowing us to complete our objectives, and we only ever hear them through a phone. We learn that they are affiliated with Poppy and that they want to use us to kill the prototype and the people closest to him like Catnap and Mommy Longlegs, or so they say. You see, there are many reasons why I believe Ollie's the prototype, and one of them is actually the sound of his voice. You see, in chapter 3 you could tell something strange is going on because Ollie has the voice of a child, and from our knowledge, while there was children in the playcare, the Hour of Joy took place 10 years prior to us re-entering the playtime facility, so it wouldn't make sense that he is a child. This is because most of the orphan experimentees within the playcare would be around 7 to 10 years old during the time of the Hour of Joy, which was 1995, especially considering that the age of Theodore Gramble, an orphan who was selected to become the bigger body for Catnap, was 7 years old in 1991. This means that most of the children within the playcare would be at the earliest 17 years old by the time we come back to Playtime Co. And we know this due to the letter we were sent in the beginning of chapter 1 that told us it's been 10 years since everybody disappeared. And considering the voice of most children that age and comparing it to Ollie's, they don't really match up. Without even considering that, during the time we returned, most of the experiments were already starving, so it would be very unlikely that anybody survived, especially children so young for that matter. So you could see something is off here, and Ollie couldn't possibly be a child. Matter of fact, he never even tells us where he came from or what he is when we speak to him. All we were told about is the ways to progress further into the playcare, which leads me to my next point. Not what he tells us to do, but rather how and when he does it. You see, doesn't it seem strange how Ollie speaks from time to time? For the most part, when we listen to him throughout the game, we think nothing of it, and at times he speaks perfectly normal. But if you listen, sometimes he'll speak extra slow, taking more time to articulate words, with a higher pitch and tone.
But she needs you. We need you. You are our mission.
This is similar to how artificial intelligence speaks in our world. They speak slower and more concise in order to articulate better, and this has been improved over time. So hear me out. I believe the prototype is mimicking the voice of a young child in order to get closer to us, who is an ex-employee who worked at Playtime Co. And from our experience with the prototype, we know that he mimics voices. Matter of fact, we've seen this happen before, and it was right in front of us this entire time. Log 24459. This was a VHS tape you could have found within the safe room in chapter 3 of the game. It presents a conversation between Dr. Harley Sawyer and the prototype. And just to clarify, this is the only tape in the entire game where we even hear the prototype's voice. And when we do, it changes between many pitches and tones. Now honestly, this isn't too surprising as he is artificially created and has the voice of a Sam robot, similar to the first robot voice, which would match up with the date of the prototype's creation. But considering the fact that he was artificially created and that he could change his voice, it's not outrageous to think the prototype might actually be mimicking voices here, using Ollie as a fake identity. And we know that this law takes place before the Hour of Joy, so over a time period of 10 to 15 years, the prototype would also have an opportunity to improve this ability, sounding almost like a human. There's no reason to research this deep into his voice, but guess what? I'm doing it. But now, rather than his voice, it's time to cover something else. Something really odd that no one's even questioned. You see, we figured out from Poppy that Ollie and her know each other, and Ollie even speaks about her moments after he gets to talk to us for the first time in the chapter.
I know you're probably mad at Poppy for not letting you escape.
This is partially why I believe Ollie wrote the note we receive in chapter 1, in order to save Poppy as she was trapped in the glass case. But if they're friends and know each other, why doesn't Ollie ever call when we are speaking to Poppy? He only ever calls after we speak with Poppy, and if anything, avoids them. Why does he do this? Well, I believe he's keeping his distance and waiting for the right time to carry out a certain plan. a certain plan that I'll cover in a minute. This is possible because if the prototype is Ollie, then the prototype isn't just controlling the enemies we face throughout the game, but also controlling us, Poppy, and the others using a fake identity, giving us directions and objectives. And finally, why of all people would the prototype be after us, using a fake name to get closer to us? And if he is Ollie, and Ollie did write this note, why was the note written? Well, I believe there is a simple answer to both of these questions. Well, kind of. You see, in order to answer this question, you have to understand that we are an ex-Playtime employee and that we missed the hour of joy. We learned this from the radio broadcast that played throughout Home Sweet Home, and it explains why the prototype would be after us.
8/8/1995. You were supposed to be here. Why weren't you here? You missed the event.
Obviously, the prototype couldn't approach us as the prototype, so we used a false identity in order to get closer to Poppy and more importantly to us. We learned from Poppy that the prototype trapped her in the case we find her in at the end of chapter 1. And after trapping her, I suspect the prototype used this as a reason to lure us back to the facility. Remember the note saying find the flower? While it may have been a friend trying to help out another friend, it also could have been the prototype using her to bring us back. And yes, I know this is a lot, but bear with me, there's a little more and I need to get through it just so this makes sense. There's also a chance that I'm completely wrong about all of this, but I believe within this there has to be some sort of truth. But essentially the prototype lured us back in order to get rid of the other experiments around the facility for him so that he can make them a part of himself and build himself up more. Similar to the shrine we see made from catnap that contains other experiments, or in other words, making them free. And we know he does this because he's taken every one of the experiments after they've been killed. I'm unsure about Huggy, but there is a trail of blue fur leading us to believe so. And this would allow him to get closer to the opposition within Playcare, aka Poppy, Kissy, and Dog Day, in order to remove them all as well. And it could be why Kissy was attacked at the end of chapter 3. So essentially, once we've passed every obstacle and completed every objective the prototype has placed in front of us, he'll come to finish us off, as in the end, we are the only one who survived, being the last piece in his master plan. But in the end, that's just a theory, and you can use your imagination as well to see what other crazy outcomes could come from this. And honestly, I'm really proud of this, and I believe that the prototype is actually Ollie, but tell me what you think in the comments below. At the time of writing this, it's 3 in the morning, but I had a blast doing so, and honestly, Ollie being the prototype connects a lot of the story together, but we'll have to wait until chapter 4 releases for the real answer. Thank you guys so much for 400 subscribers, it's amazing, and let me know what you want to see more in the future as well. Anyways, I'm Jeeps, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.